Welcome to Vivid Talk Live. I'm your host, Gwen Witherspoon. I am the principal and chief visionary officer of Adam Red and Atlanta Branding Agency, and I'm a brand strategist and a better life coach. Vivid Talk Live is all about your personal and professional development. I am here solely to help you learn a fresh way of thinking and doing for all you were designed to build. I am streaming live to Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. You can watch the stream from those channels and on my website at gwenwitherspoon.com. Replays are available on the website as well and on IGTV and Twitter. Make sure you follow your favorite channels so you will receive notifications when I go live Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Last week, we talked about building a team. Tonight, I want to talk about leadership and how to put people over power. Please introduce yourself in the comments. Your questions are welcome. Katrina and Ron are helping me monitor the chat. Thank you so much for joining me. Please share the link with your friends. Let them know about the replays, and we're going to get started right after this. Make sure you follow me at Gwen Fuchsias on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and on your favorite streaming platforms. Hey, Renee, good to see you again. Katrina, yes, in the house. I really want to kind of continue. We're going to piggyback on what we talked about last week. But before we get to that, as always, I want to make sure you know how to find more information about me on my website. So you can go to gwenwitherspoon.com. You're going to see the live stream there. So that's an easy place to go if you just want to see it. And you can also go to any of your favorite channels. All the replays, the big one, the big video there is the one from last week, and then all of the others from the previous weeks. And then you can also contact me there, and you can shop, and then you can see all my social networks, anything and everything. So that's the central hub for everything. So last week, as I said, we talked about teamwork, and the fact there's no I in team, right? And this week, it really struck me that if you remember, we're talking about a fresh way of thinking and doing for all you were designed to build, a fresh way of thinking and being for all you were designed to build. So if you're a builder, you are a leader. And you could be one person in your endeavor, but you are still a leader. And I had someone who shall go nameless, Katrina, who told me in one of our meetings, she said, "You need to lead." And I was like, okay, I wasn't offended or nothing. It's just one of those things, one of those sentences that just kind of runs in your head in the background, and you're going, okay, I need to lead. What do I need to do? How do I need to do it? And what's so powerful is, I'm gaining an understanding from week to week more and more of what that means. And what we find is when you're starting an organization, I think you have to figure out, and I think I mentioned this last week too. You got to kind of determine what are you trying to build, and a step beyond that is what is your motivation for building, right? So some of us will build because we want, we just want a better position in life, a better station. We want a better situation just in general, right? Fresh way of thinking. So we need a fresh way of thinking about leadership, because I want to kind of pick your brain tonight, or just to pique, to stimulate those brain cells to get you thinking. So you got to determine, again, your motivation. Why are you trying to build? And I mentioned weeks before as well, I have looked at my vision and the things that I was trying to build all these decades as an opportunity. People would ask me, how's your day? How are you doing? And I would always say, is great. I get the opportunity. I have the opportunity to get up every day and to pursue who and I believe that God designed me to be. I get to work on becoming the best version of myself. Isn't that great? I get to. It's an opportunity. And I still feel like that. But, you know, are you building because it's an opportunity, because you want to improve your situation and your life, or are you building because, and there's no right or wrong answer. So I want to start with that. But are you building because, as I mentioned, I discovered it was an assignment. I'm like, okay, it's great that it's an opportunity, but to whom much is given, much is required. So now I got an assignment. There's something I must do. This is not just something I would like to do. I think we put it in that framework. We kind of subconsciously kind of feel like we got all the time in the world. And, if I do it, great. If I don't, great. I have choices. It's my life. But, is it an assignment? Is this a purpose? Is this something that you believe you were designed to do, that you must finish, while you're on this earth? That's one thing. Some people build because they just want power. Real estate brokers, there's some, they just want to buy up, just like Monopoly. You want to buy up all the real estate because you just want to own all the space, and some people, want to build for wealth. You just want to make some money. You want to make money the fastest way possible, as much as you possibly can. And there's really nothing wrong with that either, as long as you're not taking advantage of people along the way. Some people are building because they want power, right? They want to be the biggest, the baddest. They want to win. Who does that sound like, right? And some people are gifted at that. Some people are gifted in sales. They're gifted in making deals. That really. But you can get to the point where you're making deals and you're selling and you're winning to the point to someone else's detriment. And when that's the case, you can do a lot of you could just cause a lot of destruction along the way, but you'll get what you want, perhaps, right? So I think why are you building? What's the motivation? What are you trying to accomplish in the building? When it's built, what do you want to have as your crowning glory? What's the crowning achievement once it's built? Is it the thing? Do you want to do it just because so you can say that you did it? You want to prove to someone else that you could do it? Do you want to compete with somebody else? Show that you're just as good as someone else. I mean, there's so many reasons to build, right? And what I want to present to you tonight is I want to talk about servant leadership, and I'm going to use that phrase because I don't have any better way to really describe it. But I was cautious about using it because I don't want whatever you think in your head about servant leadership. I don't want that to get stuck and you miss the point, or just that you get stuck in the place where you don't really see something new about it. So I'm hoping that I can open your eyes a little bit more, or you hear something fresh in that whole phrase. But I started thinking about the idea of leadership. She's like, you got to lead. And I'm going, okay, but I'm big on collaboration. Like I don't shrink from leadership. I don't shrink from being out in front. I don't really mind being the focus, clearly, because I'm on this show or I'm doing this show. But at the same time, I would prefer to work with people, collaborate, build with folks, because I'm just a champion for people. I love people. And, but I have to stay, I'm in a position now because I'm trying to build something where I have to lead. There's a certain amount of leadership that I have to step up into that I haven't been involved in prior to this, right? And so as I'm doing that, what I'm realizing is there's this sweet spot that I feel like I'm kind of leaning into. And that is where I am really learning how to put people ahead of power. I am not concerned. I may be the leader, the founder of my company, but I'm not concerned about being the boss. right? I don't care about somebody doing what I say and me, stacking up servants for myself. That's not what I'm interested in. And what I'm finding is me having an opportunity to work with them gives me the chance to step up and become a better version of myself. But the purpose for that is for them, you know, because I need them to help me become the best version of myself. And in order for that to happen, I have to help them become the best versions of themselves. Right. And I'm watching it happen, and I'm kind of learning. I keep saying that all the brands and all the projects and all the things that I do are like children. And when you're raising children, if you're a parent of multiple children, yeah, Ron says, step up into leadership by putting people ahead of power, allowing people to do what they can do best. Exactly. And in empowering people to discover what they can do best, because some people don't know. We had a situation, a client project this weekend that happened. It was fabulous, but it started out real rocky. And there was a point where it was a lot of pressure. And the comment that was made was, you can really see under pressure what people are really made of, right? Because and our team stepped up. Okay, they stepped up like ballers, and so that was really powerful. But what was great is, if you so focus on being in charge, and you want to be. I could have fallen apart in that moment and said, "Oh my God," been upset with other people, maybe that something didn't happen or something wasn't set up the way it was, or somebody hadn't done something, because my reputation could have been on the line. But I wasn't even thinking about it like that. One, we're there to serve the client, and two, I'm here to do whatever I possibly can on this team to make sure that we all come out shining, right? And so I think when you come into a situation with that attitude, you'll have an opportunity to build strong and to build solid, right? Now, talked about motivations, and the other thing, leading the way. So leading, I'm learning also, if you are the center of everything, and I'm talking about myself, right? I have been the center of everything for so long in every project that I'm doing. I've been the big fish in a small pond. I've been, right? It's all been my ideas, my effort, my energy. And what I'm learning in a really kind of abrupt, kind of painful way is that I cannot be the center. Like, this is one thing to say, I don't want to do all the work. I want to find people to do the things that I don't do well or the things that I don't like to do. That's one thing. But it's another to really discover that if you're going to step into this next level of leadership, you have to become less important. It's almost like there is in the Bible, there's a principle. It talks about being a part of the body and every joint supplying. And it says that one part can't say to the other that I don't need you. I can't say to my arm, I don't need you. Clearly, if I lost my arm, there are people who've lost limbs and things like that, and they still live and they can thrive and all those things. But that still impacts the body in a way, that you really probably we would never be able to understand if we hadn't had that situation happen. Like years ago, back when I was still in my agency days in the creative department, I cut off the end of my thumb with a paper cutter. Yes, it was about a quarter of an inch. I cut it clean off because I was trying to cut a piece of a little sliver off of a picture with the paper cutter and put my thumb there and clapped, "Hey, Veronica." And I cut that thing right off, a good clean break, the whole top of my thumb. And I'll never forget how that little piece of flesh, that tiny, now all of this, whole body from head to toe, I still got left, but that one little piece, it wrecked my whole side. My whole left side was jacked up, and it took a lot to sew it back up and get it together. And so that one joint wasn't supplying and totally impacted my body. And one of the revelations I got a while ago about that was, one can't say to the other, I'm more important than you. I don't need you. If you're the leader, You're not more important than the people who are working with you, who are helping you, the vendors who provide your products. You are not more important because you the boss, right? You are simply, you are getting your meaning from the function that you play, from what you supply, right? And by what I mean by that, the way I look at it, if you ask yourself what's the most important part of your body, right? What would you say? What's the most important part of your body? Some people would say your brain. Because if your brain is not functioning, then the rest of your body can't function, right? But if you got a really good, strong brain and your heart is bad, you got another situation. So you could say, I could live without an arm, but I can't live without a heart. Yeah, but what if you took the heart out of your body? Then what would the heart be good for? I'm going to say that one more time. If we took your heart out of your body, what would the heart be good for? How important would the heart be then if it's not attached to the body any longer? It's useless, because what else is it going to do? The reason the heart exists is to provide a function in the body. So even if the heart is connected to all the vital functions of the body, it's still not more important because of that. Because as soon as you remove it, the purpose that it was created for is no longer necessary, right? So thanks, Veronica. Right? So if you are the founder, the leader, of your organization, of what you are trying to build, you are not more important. That's why you have to put people in front of power. People are the reason. People are the reason that you're in business. People are the reason. Now, I used to say I love ministry if I didn't have to deal with people, right? We always say that. But the reality is there's nothing is worth doing without people. That's why we're here. This pandemic, all of us being separated from each other forcibly, in many cases, for long periods of time, it's showing us how desperately we need each other. Just the ability to walk out in public and interact with even total strangers is impacting our mental health, because we were not born to live without each other. We're not born to live in isolation, right? So people are the reason for everything. I was reminded that, the reason that I want to build this business, one of the reasons is to leave a legacy for my grandchild. It's like, look, that everything that we are doing is connected to somebody else. It is. And the bigger, the more people what you are doing is connected to, then the greater you become. And so when, in the Bible, the disciples were arguing among themselves about who was greater, who was going to be the baddest, who's going to be the biggest. You can say, well, look, I'm going to have the biggest company in the universe. I'm going to be the fastest growing. I'm going to be the baddest boss lady. I'm going to do this. But you know what? The measure of your greatness is your service, the difference that you make for people. The brands, the big brands that we know of, they're not just big because they've got advertising budgets and we've known them all along. Because if those products were bad all along, then none of us would have bought in, or a much smaller number would have. If the products were consistently subpar and there were one complaint after another, there's no way that those brands would be as big as they are. They got big because they served more people, right? They got big because we were known. They became a part of our lives. So that's how they became great. Not because they were bullies some did, but you know what? Eventually they crumble, because that's a principle. So I want you to think about service. If you are a leader, then you get rewarded. And something too, in social media, we're all looking for followers. We want more followers. right? Because the more followers, that's an endorsement that whatever we're doing, whatever we're creating, whatever we're communicating, whatever we're selling, all those things, that's valuable and that people like it. And so we feel better. So if your motivation in social media is to get followers and likes, you're going to get more followers and more likes by adding more value and serving more people. That's how it works. Now, there's tricks and there's tactics you can use, and you can buy followers. And buying followers isn't necessarily a bad thing, because when you pay for advertising, you're doing the same thing. You're buying followers. You're buying more eyeballs so you can get followers. So it's really not, not a negative practice. It's just about what kinds of followers are you going to buy, right? But the bottom line is you get rewarded. People follow you as a leader. I think somebody said, if you're a leader and you look behind you and nobody's following, are you really a leader? And so it's something that makes me chuckle. But I think ultimately, it's really about the principle. If you are leading and you're providing value, then people will follow. And when people follow, though, what you have to understand is you got to reward their endorsement of you with your service. You cannot allow people to follow you and not give them something in return. And I want to go into really just kind of the principles of servant leadership, about 8 that I've pulled out. And, this servant leadership concept had been around for a while. And there are a lot of people talking about it, have been over the years, especially in the business realm, in the business management realm. But number 1 is listening. And I thought this was really interesting that this was the first one, right? Because one of the things that we're supposed to be doing if we're entrepreneurs is solving a problem. We want to listen to people's pain points, right? You want to identify what is it that's really important to them, what concerns them, what can I do to solve that problem for them. And so the only way you can do that is to first and foremost to listen. And when I was in my luxury retail days, one of the principles that they taught us for selling is active listening. And active listening is basically asking open-ended questions and then actually listening for the answer. And then when you hear even if you think you know the answer, right? And a lot of times when you are talking to people a lot and selling to people and really engaging with them a lot, you can kind of sum people up. You can kind of get this sixth sense where you can kind of sum up and see where somebody might be coming from and anticipate. But if you are going to truly listen, you have to ask a question and then listen. Truly find out give the person the opportunity to answer. And let them confirm your suspicion. Let them confirm what you think is true about them, and then you got to repeat it back to them. When you do, that's why when we do the support, you call the support line from some company, or you do live chat. I do that a lot, live chat, and they come back with these. And now they'll repeat what your question was. Now make sure I'm clear. Did you mean this is what you wanted? Sometimes it's ridiculous. Like they actually repeat exactly what you said right back. But that's a principle, right? I want to repeat back to you what you said, so I make sure that I didn't misunderstand you. And it's a skill that we have to learn. I just really want to listen. Now, is this what you really meant? Yes, right? You want to, and then what happens with that is when you learn how to listen, or at least make people feel like they were heard, then you gain their trust. And so sometimes, even if I know the answer, you have to take the time to give people the opportunity to say it for themselves, to mouth it out of their own, to say it out of their own mouth. And then when you repeat it back, or you offer them a solution based on that, they feel like they heard. You're starting to, that they have been heard, and that you are actually listening, and that what they say matters to you. So how many times have you spoken to someone in a leadership role in your life, a parent, a teacher, and you said something and you felt like they just dismissed you? So as a leader, we have an obligation. There are famous people that I've been in contact with, and I remember what it was like when they not just said hello and scribbled an autograph or whatever it was, whatever situation we were in. But when they took the time to stop and look me in my eye and speak to me directly and say something personal, that you're like, they acted like I was really important to them, knowing that they've seen thousands of people maybe that same day, right? But that's a gift we have to learn, a grace that we got to learn how to walk in, listening to people. And then two, I was going to say empathy, but I think empathy is such a hard word to kind of really wrap your brain around. I want to say being interested in people. There's a scripture that says, don't just pretend that you love people, really love them. And, some people are unlovely. Like sometimes it's hard, especially if you're in a customer service situation where you got to deal with a lot of people. Because if they don't have a personal connection to you, somehow it seems much easier for us to dismiss and disrespect each other. And if you are the recipient of a lot of that that treatment, sometimes it's hard. You kind of get a little you get, your heart gets hardened against people, and you're like, I'm not gonna let you hurt me, right? But you got to learn how to really be interested in people, how to ask them questions, how to check. Now, I'm usually so busy that I'm like walking and breathing and living in a tunnel. So it's hard for me sometimes to like stop and really like sit down and commiserate and really pay attention and people watch and all that. I usually don't have that kind of energy, but I'm around a lot of people. I know I have a lot of friends who are really like champions at that. Just chilling, watching people, really just enjoying interacting with people, not being suspicious of folks, just learning about them. And my husband he always gets on me because he'll be like, I'll meet somebody new and he'll ask me questions. Where are they from? Where do they? I'm like, I don't know. How would I know that? But he's the kind of person, he wants to know all those little details. So we got to be interested in people. Because if you're interested in people, you are not trying to force them to be like you or forcing them to live up to your expectations. You're giving them an opportunity just to be themselves, and you get to discover who they are. That's leadership, right? Then number 3 is self-awareness. And I love this because you have to recognize your own limitations. And in addition, you got to recognize your own strength and your own value. Too often we are either on, too far on one side or the other. Either we are so self-deprecating that we're just like, oh, I'm a worm in the earth, in the dust. And then in others, we're so important and so great that, I'm God's gift to humanity. And so we got to find this healthy, I don't like to say balance, but you got to have a clear awareness on all sides, who you are, what you bring to the table, what your limitations are. I've taken a lot of personality assessments, and I've got one in particular that I can remember that talks about the negative aspects of your personality. And so there are things that I know about my personality because I've seen myself through the mirror of these assessments, right? And so I know, and I've gotten some feedback about how people perceive me or how I might have come off to them in terms of how I was speaking to them. Like my brother and sister, I'll say, "Ooh, that's great," and they'll be like, "Is it really great?" Because I can kind of come off a little. In some instances, I know I can come off a little condescending. I can come off a little. And I'm not trying to, but that's part of my personality. And so now I'm aware of it. I'm not necessarily aware of exactly when I'm doing it or if I'm doing it, but I am aware that I can come off that way sometimes and fully not intending it. And so since I know that, then that means I'm going to adjust my behavior. As much as I possibly can. And if somebody says to me that, gives me the feedback that I'm behaving that way, I do my best to try to I need to correct that immediately and let you understand. Beg for your grace, right? And I think just being really recognizing your own limitations. And I love this. You want to use yourself in ways that benefit the team. So the best thing I can do right now, the challenge of this season I'm in my life, is to step up into leadership of my company in a way that I haven't had to before. Because before it was just me, and I only had me to worry about. Right? I can face me every day and then wonder and want and wish that I had a team and I had people and visualize this huge business I'm going to have one day. But now I've got a team, and now it's like, okay, if I'm going to serve this team, I got to show up using the best versions of myself so that the team can thrive. Otherwise, I can be selfish and stick back into what's comfortable. And, and they graciously are helping me come out of the way I've been doing things, right? The joke now is I have to take Fridays off starting in October. Oh my gosh, I'm going to announce it to the world because I'm going to do it. But every time they say something to me that just really, I don't even recognize that, before it's coming, that I got this going on in me. But as soon as it was suggested that I not work on Fridays, I almost fell apart. Tears, in the corners of the eyes. I'm like, wait, what? And when things like that happen, it helps you understand kind of the strongholds and things that are going on inside of you. And so there's this war for me to be comfortable. And, when you stepping out in a new way, it's not comfortable. It doesn't feel good, because we all want to kind of go back and retreat to that, that pint of ice cream and movies, right? We don't want to just purposely make ourselves uncomfortable. But the reality is, if you're going to be a leader, you have to use yourself, the best parts of you, for the benefit of the team. Because if you're the heart, the team is going to benefit. The entire body is going to benefit when you are strong and when you are vital, right? But in your function. And so you got to be clear that you are the leader. You're not the tyrant. You're not the czar. You're not, you are the leader. And if greatness is going to be achieved through you and your team, greatness comes by service. Greatness comes by making people more important than power. Number 4 is persuasion. And not manipulation, but it's persuasion. And, it could be a thin line between persuasion and manipulation. But, you have to, if you have a vision, you have to persuade people that your vision is worth pursuing, because you're asking them to believe in something that doesn't exist. You're asking them to believe in something that even you are not 100% confident in how to actually do. But you got to learn. Kirstrina says, I used to call my Fridays Fantastic Fridays. Come on now. Yes. Okay. Yes, it is. It's going to be great. I'm confident. I have started imagining what I could do on Fridays. So I'm excited. It's going to be fantastic. But you have to learn how to persuade people to believe in the future that you see. You have to be able to persuade people just to even be confident in their own ability to help bring it to pass. That you got to help them become they confident in their own potential. It's like we all have these ideas about ourselves, but you got to speak life into people so that you can awaken those gifts and those abilities and things that are dormant in them, or that are just not quite developed yet, right? So you have to be persuasive. And number 5, you have to have vision. And vision, sometimes it really is about you being able to conceptualize a future that's different than where you are right now. And you still have to have a firm grip on reality and what's on the current reality. Because the truth is that vision that you see is just as real as what's really, what's happening right now. It's just that, and you have got to, you got to be able to, you got to have that concept. You got to be able to conceptualize what it is you want that's different than what you have right now, that is beyond what you can see, what you've ever done, and maybe what somebody else has even done. There may be just a new twist on something that you've seen that doesn't exist, that you need to birth in the earth, and you have to have vision. So if you are leading the way, you must have vision. You cannot do it. You can't do it comparing yourself to other people and in competition. Competition, unless it's friendly and it's spurring you to become the best version of yourself and everybody else around you, competition can be really destructive and fleeting, because you want to build something that's lasting. So if we want to do that, we have to be visionaries. The other thing is, I kind of toyed. I was fighting with whether it should be insight or foresight. But foresight is about being able to apply past learning. Like, I heard somebody say that you don't fail as long as you learn from the failure, and you learn the lesson and move on. And so foresight is being able to remember. You can remember the things that happen, not to allow them to hold you back and to keep you, focused on the past and longing after something that's gone, right? But you use it so that you can kind of look into the future and go, you know what? This happened before. I'm take what I learned from that. Now we're going to look into the future, this vision that we've created, everything that I've conceptualized, and now I'm going to apply what we learned to that. And I think that is super important. You want to apply your past learning and experience to the future that you see. Foresight, if you are a leader. Then the number 7 is stewardship, right? And I thought, again, I wasn't quite sure I wanted to use the word stewardship, but if you are a leader, you are a steward over the vision, over the future that has been endowed, that's been, what do you call it? That you have inherited, right? When you have vision, that's a supernatural thing. So vision is really, vision is your inheritance. So sometimes in the natural, our parents didn't have the money to give us, but vision, the ability to create this future for yourself and others, that's an inheritance. And so you have to be a steward over that. You are responsible, because you're going to be held accountable for what you did with it. The gifts, the abilities, the talents, the ideas, you're going to be held accountable for how you use them. And you're supposed to increase them. You're supposed to end the game with more. And so you have to be a steward. Also, stewardship is about leading by example. If I'm asking people on my team to bring the best version of themselves, I got to bring mine. I can't come in. I've had managers where they come in late, they leave early, they stay to lunch long, they come in, throw stuff together. They sharp, but they're not quite in. So it's wild to have leaders that are functioning that way, because you're looking at them going, well, shoot, why am I working so hard? Why do I care? So if you're a steward, you got to lead by example. I'm not going to ask people to do stuff I wouldn't do. When I tell you to Google, I'm like Googling, live chatting. I'm not quitting until I find it. If I got to stay up all night, I'm going to get the answer. Now, I'm not expecting, I'm not demanding that of people, that they stay up all night, work 40 hours. But I'm not going to ask you for anything that I'm not willing to bring to the table, that I'm not willing to invest, right, to it. So you want to lead. So you want to be a steward over the vision that you've been given, even a steward over the people. It's like, if God has blessed you with the opportunity to work with a group of people and giving you the responsibility to lead those people, you got to be a steward over them. You may not have the means, the money, and all these different things that we feel like things that you need to lead a team for your company, or your organization or your ministry. But ultimately, you are a steward over them. You got to be responsible for how you treat those people. Even there's scriptures all through the Bible about people, how people treat people who owe them money, how people treat people who work for them. Like God, even the downtrodden, the child, how we treat them. God really is very concerned and serious about how we treat people. So we have to be stewards over the vision God's given us, over the abilities he's given us, over the people he's surrounded us with. And that is leadership, right? And then the last one, number 8, is commitment to the growth of people, right? So it goes back to that whole idea. If you put people ahead of power, if you are committed to the growth of people more than you are your own power, your own position, your own authority, people serving you left and right, he said, speak, right? If you are more concerned about that, then you are going to be a lead. You'll be a great leader, not just a leader, but a great leader. Greatness is part of your heritage, your destiny, your future. But greatness is not you with a crown and folks serving you left and right. People will serve you because of because you've made a difference for them. They'll follow you because you made them better. They'll follow you because they know that you hear them, that you are listening, that's the kind of leader I know I want to be. And I'm sure I'm falling short in many areas, but that's my goal. That's where I'm headed. That's where my heart is. And so that's so important for you. If we all miss the boat. We're all in relationships with people. We all have different personalities. So we have different experiences. We get triggered, all of us, in different ways. So when it comes down to it, like I heard somebody say that when they saw how couples fight, they could predict with like this for this crazy like 80-90% accuracy whether or not they were going to stay together. And the idea was just, if you watch how they fought each other, because you're going to get, if you spend time with anybody for any amount of time, there's going to be some kind of disagreement somewhere. There's going to be some tension in that relationship, even if it's not an all-out breakdown, brawl, fight, knockdown, drag out. There's going to be something, because we're human. And he said that person, I can't even remember who it was, but they said, if you watch how people fight, if you fight with somebody and it just degrades into name calling and like the whole objective is to win and all of that, like then you can see that that's very destructive, and that though that relationship can't really withstand that for too long. And so if you learn if you're committed to the growth of people and you're committed to just their greatness, and you want to make sure they understand how important they are to you, even when you're fighting, you can fight in a way that honors the dignity of that person. You can fight without cutting them down. You can fight without just giving them a piece of your mind and telling them everything you always wanted to say about them. Like, I had a horrible marriage, my first marriage. And one of the things that was the most destructive was this was the closest person to me at the time. And so when he had something bad to say about me, he would take all the deepest personal stuff, and so it felt like such a betrayal, right? So think about your sister, your mother, people that are close to you, when they come up and say, well, that's why you can't keep a man. Like those kinds of statements from somebody really close to you, they cut deep, because it's like you have taken this sacred information about me that could be true, right? The most negative, horrible thing, my failure or whatever, and then you throw it up in my face. So if that's how you treat people, they're not going to feel like they're important to you. So you can you can have a difficulty and a disagreement and communicate to that person, I may not agree with you at this moment. I might even be angry with you at this moment, but you are still important to me. You can share with people, communicate to people that they are valuable to you in no matter what the situation and circumstance is. And when you can do that, you can weather any storm together. People will rally behind you when they know that you have their best interests at heart. So if you're going to put people over power, if you're going to put people over your position, if you're going to put people over your own wealth, not mean that you're going to give everything away and let everybody else get rich before you, but at the same time, if you're going to invest in them and they know that that's important to you, then then you'll be a leader, you know. So I'm praying that I'm stepping up to the occasion, and I pray that I learn more and more about it. And I can't wait to see that when I was in my again, back to my luxury retail management days, one of the biggest thrills of my day was coaching and training my team. You know, I've been involved in direct sales for decades. One of the things I love about direct sales is I love building a team and inspiring them and helping those folks, helping everybody reach whatever goal they've got. It thrills me. What I love about my branding agency, I love working with clients, and I love helping interpret their vision and helping bring that thing to pass. There's nothing more exciting to me. That's just part of my DNA. But even though I do believe that it is part of my personality, I still got to step up and learn the practical things that you need to do to become a leader. So last week we said, you got to build a team. You want to grow. You can't be the center of everything. You can be the leader, you can be the face, all those things. But when you are the leader, you have to lead. And if you're going to lead, you have to be concerned about making other people great. And then that's going to make you a great leader. So that's all I got for you tonight. Once again, I want to remind you to follow me. Follow at Gwen Fuchsias on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And Periscope. And then Gwen Witherspoon Coach on YouTube. And again, you can visit gwenwitherspoon.com. Let me get there for all of the replays, the links to all of the networks, just a great central hub. Hey, you can just stay there. You ain't even got to go nowhere. But share that with your friends, and we will see you next week next Wednesday, 5. Oh my gosh. Isn't it funny how the brain works? I used to do Vivid Talk Radio at 5 p.m. on Wednesdays. And so somewhere buried in my subconscious mind, I said 5 o'clock. So Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for Vivid Talk Live. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.